Warlord's Ruin is the new dungeon here in Destiny 2. It's much easier than previous dungeons that have been released, in my opinion, especially Ghosts of the Deep. It's way easier than that. So just about any teams should be able to clear it. If you don't have a team, that's okay. Just join my Discord, link in the description. We can help you. We've been taking a lot of people through this. So I don't want to hear the whole, I wish I could do it, but I don't have friends, that whole thing, because now you've got a solution. Just join the Discord. We've got you. But that out of the way, let's just get right into the dungeon so we can get this guide going. Warlord's Ruin is going to have you ascending this snowy mountain and castle as you progress through it. You'll start at the base and you'll follow a pretty straightforward path, and after a couple minutes, you will make your way to the first boss just right away. This boss has pretty low health and you should be able to take it out quickly. My recommended boss damage strategy here is to just use Legend of Acreus. Using this with its catalyst, of course, is the easiest way to a one phase, but of course you can use things like rockets and Galahorn. You can pretty much use anything against this boss and you're going to be just fine. When the fight begins, enemies will spawn in everywhere, and you can clear out these enemies if you want to, but after about 20 seconds, each person on your team will automatically get teleported into these cages, and you'll have this 30-second imminent wish buff. Once you get teleported into the cages, you might notice the boss will also drop this taken orb on the ground, but first we've got to get out of these cages. So to do this, you just have to shoot those floating taken acolyte eyes that will be surrounding all of you, and if you take too long to shoot out your acolyte eyes, you will die. But you've got a decent amount of time to do this, so I really wouldn't worry about this too much. Either way, once all of you have made it outside of your cages, drop down to the ground, you will want to find that taken orb that Rathil, the boss, spawned in when he teleported you into those cages. And you'll also want to find the second orb that he drops somewhere else right when you exit those cages. So basically, you have two taken orbs you're looking for, one right when you enter the cages and one when you exit the cages. They're very easy to see, not any problem at all. What you'll have to do with these is stand in the ring surrounding both of those orbs until they activate by turning like this glowing blue color. And all of what I just mentioned has to be done within that 30-second imminent wish timer, so you want to do this before that timer runs out. And once all of this is done and the imminent wish timer goes down to 0, it's time for damage. If you only managed to activate one of these taken orbs, you'll have 15 seconds to do damage, but if you can activate both, you will have a 20-second damage phase, so it's always worth going for both of those orbs if possible, and it's really easy to do if you're in a team of 3, since only 2 of you have to stand in the orbs, technically. And that's about it for this fight. If you don't get the one phase, that's completely fine. Just rinse and repeat those steps until it's over. Once you've killed the boss, you will actually automatically get teleported into a prison cell. This took us a long time to figure out. We knew we were being really stupid when we were in here, but figuring out it actually took a little bit of time. So what you'll have to do here is first find all 6 gears that will be on the walls. If you shoot them once, they will start turning to the left. Shoot them again, they will stop. Shoot them a third time and they will start turning right. This will be important in just a second, but now you know you can always stop them, shoot them again, turn them the other way, and they will just kind of indefinitely spin until you're done. So what do we do with these 6 spinning gears? Well, you will want to find 2 skeletons. I believe they're always in the same place. They will be kind of sitting just outside of your cells, and one will be pointing to the right, one will be pointing to the left. So the numbers will always be different, but they will always add up to 6. In this case, the one that was pointing to the right was 5, the one to the left was 1. So crazy critical thinking skills here. We would be able to tell that we need 1 gear spinning to the left and 5 gears spinning to the right. Once you get all the gears spinning correctly, you can hit this key here that will activate the doors and you can go ahead and escape the prison. Very easy. Okay, cool. So you've made it out of the jail cell. What's next? Well, this is essentially the platforming section. You'll have to navigate through the castle while avoiding the many traps that will be on the walls, the floors, and all of the secret chests, or what you would think would be secret chests. But there's not too much randomness here. You'll just have to look for holes in the floors and the ceilings to jump through occasionally, but it's a mostly straightforward path. But maybe about midway through the castle section, you'll stumble across this staircase. You can't miss it. It takes you to this floor, and on this floor, I know I skipped ahead there, but it's like right around the corner, you'll find the first secret chest. This is a much shorter platforming section than what we find in Ghost of the Deep, so yeah, you've got this, I believe in you. Now we've made it to the second boss. It's a taken ogre called Locus of Wailing Grief. We'll just call it Locus. So we'll use some of the same mechanics that we did in the first fight, but as usual with dungeons, we are building on the mechanic for every encounter that we do. For boss damage here, Dragon's Breath is insane, so try that. We've also used Galahorn and Legendary Rockets as well, but you can use whatever you want. I'm sure the most meta damage strategies will come out as the months go by. And a fusion rifle will be very nice here for dealing boss damage when you're out of heavy ammo, which probably will happen because this boss has a lot of health, and will also be useful for the Scorn Chieftains that we will have to deal with here. A 1-2 punch shotgun with Syntheseps is what I used with Strand Titan because it does a stupid amount of damage. You don't have to do this, it just works very well, so try it, it's fun. But let's get into this fight. Once it starts, you will have ads that will appear everywhere, as well as Taken Acolyte eyes that will spawn by the boss. You've got to take out these Taken Acolyte eyes first, and you'll see the text Scorn rise to invoke their fortunes and your demise in the kill feed. This means that 2 Scorn Chieftains are going to spawn in the area. One will be on the left side, one on the right side if you're facing the boss. So get ready to split up and deal with those Scorn. So we've got a few things that happen here. A couple seconds after the Scorn Chieftains spawn in, you're going to see this big snowstorm appear, and you'll see this biting winds stacking debuff timer appear on your screen. You don't want to get this to 10, otherwise you will freeze and die, so we don't want that. But thankfully there are quite a few torches on the edge of the arena that will reduce these biting wind stacks very quickly for you if you get too high. But you will also notice that same Imminent Wish buff timer appear once the snowstorm rolls in, so you will have to deal with those chieftains before that timer runs out. If you kill the chieftain right when it spawns in, that is fine, it's a safer strategy. It's going to drop one of those Taken Blights like we saw from the first encounter that you have to cleanse and turn blue, and don't worry, we will get to what that does for this fight in just 1 second, but if you hold out just a little bit longer once that chieftain spawns in, you will see it throw down another Taken Blight, meaning that when you kill that Scorn Chieftain, you will now have 2 blights that you can cleanse. And this is the same for both the left and the right side, by the way. So my recommendation here is to try to kill those chieftains while posting up by a nearby torch. That's going to prevent you from getting too many biting wind stacks. And you obviously want to wait for that chieftain to throw down a blight before killing it so you can get both blights to drop. Okay, so what does all of this blight cleansing even do? Well, each one that you cleanse will spawn in a fire orb in the middle of the arena that we can use to light the torches near the ogre. There are 4 torches in total that you have to light to initiate the damage phase. So that means if you can get the chieftain to drop 2 Taken Blights each time, you can take care of all 4 torches in one of these rotations. So what happens if you don't get both to spawn in? That's completely fine if you only manage to get 1 to 3 blights cleansed like for one rotation. Just keep repeating this process until you get all 4 torches lit. There's no enrage mechanic in dungeons, so you can literally take as long as you want here. And just kind of a small tip here, we like to have a designated final torch to light, since the second you light that final torch, the damage phase begins, whether your team is ready or not. So damage phase. It works a lot like the Caretaker encounter in Vow of the Disciple in that raid, if you're familiar with that. You and your team will have to start damage from, again, whatever your designated starting torch is, and then you will have the Naeem's Wish Empowerment buff timer, which indicates how much time you've got left at that torch. So once that timer runs down to 0, that torch will actually freeze over. You'll get the crazy snowstorm that comes in, which will force you to go near the next torch. And keep in mind, you'll need to stand within that white ring to do damage, and you've got a very long damage phase here. Each torch provides a 15-second Naeem's Wish timer. I know I'm saying that wrong. So that means you've got 1 minute in total of damage per phase, which is like the longest in the game, I think. And once the 4th torch buff is used up, you'll just have to rinse and repeat. Hopefully you can get the 1 phase, but I think for most people this will be a 2 to 3 phase, and that's completely fine. So after you kill the ogre, you will have another medium length platforming section. Not too bad. And you'll want to make sure you stop in this room with all these chests to find the right secret chest. It is random, so just make sure to not open the ones that are glowing blue. Those are traps. But for this whole section, when in doubt, just keep climbing up. That's how you know you're going the right way. This is a really cool skybox, one of the best in the game, and it might take you some time to make your way through, but that's how every dungeon experience should be. It's really not too bad. But eventually you will come to a large group of enemies near a staircase, and this is pretty much the end of your climb. You're almost there. Make your way just a little bit further, climb that staircase, and we are here. We're at the final boss, Hefnd's Vengeance, Blighted Chimera. In my opinion, this fight has less mechanics going on than the last one, so that's nice. And you can feel free to use the exact same loadout as the last encounter for this one. So rockets, Galahorn. I've seen some people use the Void Machine Gun Retrofit Escapade. I've seen Leviathan's Breath, fusion rifles, like use whatever your team is comfortable with. You just want to make sure you have high damage supers if possible. So starting off, surprise, surprise, you will want to take out those Acolyte Eyes near the boss. Doing this will spawn in 2 more chieftains, just like the last fight. And just like the last fight, you can wait for them to throw down that second Taken Blight that you will have to cleanse. So a couple things happen here that we've got to worry about. First thing is we have to cleanse those blights to a maximum of 4. The more we cleanse, the longer our damage phase will be. The other thing we have to worry about is getting rid of our Hex of Vengeful Corruption debuff that will appear right when those blights drop. It's about a 16-second timer, and we have to get rid of that before the imminent wish timer also runs out. So a lot of timers to worry about, but it is pretty easy. How we get rid of this Hex debuff is by meleeing any one of those Taken-looking Scorn enemies that are trying to chase you. You can't miss them. If you're successful, it will let you know that the Hex debuff has been transferred. Just keep in mind that they can tag you back to give you that debuff again. So you've got to constantly be running away, making sure you're safe before that imminent wish timer runs down to 0. The last thing I'll say here is that each player has to tag a different Taken Scorn enemy. So you can't tag the same one twice, the debuff will not transfer. But once that imminent wish timer runs down to 0, all of you have removed your Hex debuffs, hopefully, and cleansed all 4 orbs. It is finally time for damage. You'll have to get rid of that first chunk of HP to progress to the next area, but if for some reason you just don't deal enough damage, that's completely fine. You'll just have to rinse and repeat on the same area. But once you are able to get past that first chunk of HP, it's time to move up to the right. You'll see the boss kind of move, so just follow the boss to the next area. And you'll do the exact same thing here. Nothing changes. Once you remove that next chunk, head to the next platform to do the same thing a 3rd time. And once you clear that 3rd HP chunk, you'll then hop to the very top to those floating platforms. Here, things change up just a little bit. This is kind of your really long, extended damage phase. You will have to clear out those Acolyte Eyes that will kind of continuously spawn in, so it's best to designate one player to kind of take care of these. Really, it should just be whoever doesn't have heavy ammo at this point. But the more Acolyte Eyes you can kill off, the longer that damage phase is going to be on that platform you're on. But eventually, once enough time passes, the whole platform is going to be full of Taken goo. It's going to damage you, so you have to follow the boss to the next platform on your right. Same exact thing here, nothing changes. Kill those Taken Eyes, do damage, and move to the 3rd platform where you'll do the same thing again. But once you get the boss to the final stand, little health bar part, you will be teleported to the top. Doesn't matter where you're at on the map, you just automatically get teleported. You should actually be able to get this done in 1 full rotation. So working your way all the way to the top to those floating platforms, all 3 of those, you should be able to do 1 phase. But if you don't, that's completely fine. You will have to make your way all the way back down to the bottom section where you started and just rinse and repeat, do the same thing again. But that's about it for Warlord's Ruin. Very easy, very straightforward. You can definitely do it. Hopefully you all can get the new exotic Void sidearm from it. A friend of mine got it first try, so I'm still grinding for it. Hopefully you can get yours. But anyway, that's it for the guide. I will see you all in the Discord or the next video.